Broadcasting from the heart of the Colorado Rockies, it's 4th and 99 with your hosts, David Slade, Keith Brookman, and Matt Stappiero. Now let's talk football here on 4th and 99.
Hey, good evening, everyone. This is Matt from the 4th and 99 Denver Bronco and NFL podcast. Coming at you with your Denver Bronco post-game show. With me, as always, I got Keith Brugman here to talk some Broncos. Keith, how are you?
Disappointed, as most Bronco fans should probably be at this point. I don't know if you're going to be any different. You can tell me, buddy.
I'm with you. There's always some good. There's always a little bit of positive, but overall, it just felt like it was the storybook ending to what we've seen all season. This is now I'm pretty sure there's more, but the third game in recent memory where the Denver Broncos offense is essentially just handed the game away. We can go back to, of course, Gordon's today, Locke in Cincinnati a couple weeks ago, and then Teddy Bridgewater against Kansas City when he threw the awful pick six to just seal the win for him. I don't know. Just feeling iffy. I'm just feeling down in the dumps.
Well, it's so difficult when you have a team that seems like they find ways to lose rather than find ways to win. You know, today was a perfect example of a team that looked like they were on the verge of breaking a streak and breaking a AFC West, opponent, and putting them in a tough position, possibly falling all the way to the 4th seed, and all this momentum's building, and once again finding a way to lose the game, and all of it just goes away, and it never can't recapture it, can't get it back, can't find a way to win in the end, can't find a way to get a stop. It just once the wind goes out of our sails, it's gone too.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Real quick, before we dive too far into tonight's show, we wanted to thank our sponsor, Willow Seasonings and Blends, for putting a little spice in our life. If you or anyone you know in your family, friend circle that is a barbecue aficionado, reach out, willowseasonings.com. They got a great lineup, so check them out and let me know what you got. All right, now that we paid the bills, let's kind of dive into kind of what feels like another man. I kind of said it was like the storybook ending to what's been a poor
textbook
season.
Ending. Ending to what we've seen all season. Yep.
Yeah, I guess it would be more like a nightmarish ending. Maybe that's a better word.
That's a bad storybook. Scaring your kids with that storybook.
It's like a Little Mermaid, real version, Brothers Grimm style.
There you go, buddy.
Just going and kind of looking at the game. It really wasn't a horrible game overall. Like I said, the offense has kind of stayed true to what they've done all season of really enforcing the run, really trying to get that going, and just trusting their defense. And sometimes it works out for them, sometimes it doesn't. Today happened to be one of those days where it didn't. Yeah. So one question I have for you is, because we talked about in the pre-show, like we were really hoping that this would be the opportunity for us to see them just kind of cut Drew Lock loose. No pressure. Most likely coaching changes are happening. We were looking at maybe it being a tad more of a loose type of game, but we got the complete opposite from the coaching staff, and we got the complete opposite from Drew Lock and company of a very structured and kind of stagnant game plan we've seen all season.
Outside of a Cortland Sutton pass and some triple tight end sets that we saw on the field, there wasn't much new that we hadn't seen in recent weeks out there being played out or drawn out on from the playbook. So I 100% agree. I kind of wish that we would have saw it. Once again, I think we saw Drew Lock kind of push that ball a little bit further around down the field. We saw deeper passes. We saw Patrick come down with a great catch along the sideline. It just, it looks different. Was a little bit worried about Judy at times. Seemed like he was not on the same page. Maybe checked out. Kind of came back at the second half. It seemed like he was coming back into the fold. Maybe a conversation at halftime. But yeah, nothing to really jump up and down and get excited about. I mean, one of the things I was talking about, and the reason I posed the question to you guys is, obviously Pat Shermer is one of those guys too that could certainly be on the chopping block. I would assume, especially if Vic Fangio is, that Pat Shermer isn't hanging around, and he would
No,
want to put he'd want to put his best foot forward and put some points and some yards and look the best he possibly could coming out of this game as well. And I don't know if he did that.
yeah, and I mean, I don't know. Maybe part of it's just maybe the way that Sherman just was feeling the game the way it was going today. I mean, if we look at the first half, if we isolate the first half, I mean, the passing game was kind of just bad. I mean, it wasn't. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I hate to use the word bad because there wasn't any mistakes made, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just really wasn't effective. I believe at halftime, I can't remember if it was 4 for 10 or 4 for 12 for like 26 yards. Like
Yeah,
that is terrible.
I think Locke started off 1 for 6 if I remember right
Yeah.
at one point. So I mean, it was not a beautiful start to the game, especially from a
Yeah.
passing game standpoint. And the
So I'm
running
not
game
sure.
wasn't helping him much.
Yeah, it was
At
just
that
kind of
point, Gordon hadn't gotten off and going. Javante never got going once again. Um,
yeah, it just felt like it
12 for
was
46.
yeah.
So I mean, I mean about a 4 yard average, but not a big game.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just felt like it was yeah. And I mean, we keep talking Drew Lock and maybe being part of this future and one thing that I've been trying to do is I've just kind of tried to take off, my Lock flogger hat, try to not be the Bronco fan and really look at it as if this was just player A and team whatever. And
Hmm.
while we've seen, some growth, I mean, the question still remains is you know, we get a lot of people were so quick to like beat up on Teddy for it being boring and stagnant and this and that. But taking a peek back at these last couple games, 12 for 24 today, 162 yards, 0-0. Chargers 18 for 25, 245 yards, one touchdown, zero picks. Lots against the Raiders, 15 for 22, 153, 0-0. What that looks like, if I just were to put this player A and B, I couldn't tell you the difference between who Teddy Bridgewater was and who Drew Lock was. And it comes back to maybe being, is this a Pat Shermer problem? And if we get to see what happens with Drew Lock and a new OC, I just hope we don't see some of this because I hope that the growth that Drew Lock got that we've seen he make this season isn't him to mimic that, to be afraid to take those chances, to kind of limit himself to what a Teddy Bridgewater is, because we don't want to see that because we've
Yeah.
seen how ineffective someone who's conservative, a conservative quarterback can be. So I'll be the first to admit he's done a lot better. He's protected the ball. I mean, I just showed you 3 zeros in the interception column for his 3 starts. Last year, this would be possibly 3 to 7 picks. I mean,
100% right.
huge,
Yeah.
huge, huge benefits there. I will give him that.
And fumbles along the way as well. You know what I mean? He was known for fumbling in the pocket, taking those bad sacks and end up getting fumbles as well. So
Yeah.
it was kind of a turnover machine, and has looked a lot better in that regard. His as it was kind of documented. Anybody that watched the show, I mean, I watched the game on TV. Hopefully, you all did. But he was getting through his progressions quite well. Um, that's something that I hadn't seen, but also at the same time, they also pointed out things like throwing off his back foot. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, that pressure was coming hard up the middle. It's tough to step into a throw like that, but at the same time,
It's going to
it's what
happen.
it's what you're out there and you're doing. You know what I mean? I guess if there's any other time to pull the move to actually step into that throw and take the hard hit, it might be this game, right? It's really your future that you're out there putting on tape. You know what I mean? It makes a big difference. So kind of
Yeah.
disappointed
Yeah.
at times, and just what like his fallbacks that he had as well.
Yeah. And, it just, I mean, I don't know. I keep trying to find a way to like really get behind Drew Lock and moving forward as a future. Like I get the money thing, I get the things, but I have concerns even with the growth. Uh, 45 for 71, 560 yards and 1 touchdown over the course of three starts really doesn't scream efficiency. And unfortunately, the most important part and what's been the issue for before Drew Lock even got here. This is a Broncos problem. This is not a Drew Lock problem. This is a Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Lock, Joe Flacco, Case Keenum, Trevor Siemian, every other quarterback from in between. The Broncos give us exactly this: decent completion percentage. The yardage is there, but they choke in the red zone. They have tons of field goals, and we can't produce points.
Yeah.
So as much of the growth is great, we're seeing it, but if it's not showing the production and points, it still is a major concern for me. But we'll see. And that could be a Pat Shurmur problem this season. But for it to be a Pat Shurmur, a Rich Gangarello, a Mike McCoy problem, I mean, it just seems like it can't be one or the other.
Where's Mike McCoy?
Mike McCoy. Oh, I don't have the points for him.
Where is Rich Gangarello?
Rich Gangarello is a offensive assistant. I take that back. I think it might be a quarterback coach again.
Okay. Yeah. All I'm saying is these aren't it's not like you're talking about the top offensive coordinators that he's been under, and we just happen to lose them.
No.
To great teams, and they became head coaches. If you would have said,
No, that's what I'm saying. I think it's a problem both sides. I think it was just
It just totally is. We spoke just briefly right before we got on air, but I look back and I think of the 32 or the 32nd worst quarterback in the league, or the 8 best backup quarterbacks, and I see Drew Lock is a lot better than any of these guys. I mentioned it in our pregame show, and you got pretty excited. What about Drew Lock as a New Orleans Saint next year rather than Teddy Bridgewater? Well, geez, all of a sudden it's pretty exciting to think about Teddy Bridgewater matched up with, Drew Lock matched up with Sean Payton, because there's an offensive mind, and there's a guy and he's a great coach, and he brings along quarterbacks fantastically. I mean, I would hate for him to go to the Saints and become someone fantastic in spite of us, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I want the best for the kid, but I don't want it to do it in spite of us, because I think he's a starting quarterback. I think he's better than the 32nd worst guy in the league.
And some days I agree with that, some days I don't. I mean, it's just so hard. It's just so hard to justify, because one day we see, where he's going out and having that game against the Houston Texans a couple seasons ago. He's going out and he's looking like, dang, this guy's got elite level talent at times.
Yeah.
But then we come out and we see a game where he throws 3 or 4 picks and can't get the ball going. He's fumbling. He's missing receivers wide open. He's just constantly forcing it. Like, it's so hard to justify what the reasonable scale is, because it's like, instead of it being kind of like a curve, it's almost like a fat line. It's either going to be he's at 180 over there at
top of the charts,
100, and other days he's at 20%. Like, it's just so hard to justify on this weird line that he's on.
Yeah, but I would guess not that you put up fantastic, maybe even completion percentages or certainly touchdowns. But I look at these last 3 games and the progression I see of him going through progressions, B, not forcing turnovers like he always did in the past, and then he always wanted to extend that play, And today I was proud of the kid. Guess what he did? He threw it out of bounds a couple of times. You know what I mean? Just rolled out of the pocket, nothing there, threw it out of bounds, and that used to drive me nuts about Drew Lock. He would never, ever, ever do that. He would always either try to force it downfield or he'd take a sack.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Absolutely, and his pocket awareness today was a lot better. He was able to move around. Yeah, that was
obviously he got 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's making these little steps to get better. The other big thing, the reason why I have concern with moving forward with him.
Lock is a Steeler from Gregory Dunda off of Facebook there, man. Yeah, that's another good one.
There's another one, possibly going to Indy to sit behind Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz doesn't have much left on his contract. We talk about New Orleans. We talk about possibly, Seattle needing a quarterback. We talk about there's these other places, and this is where it gets interesting for me. We look at it like this, because Sean Slade here makes a good point. Lock's had 3 starts in this cruddy system. Lock's played well, and I think he should be here next year. We drafted quarterback in the second, develop him. The reason why I don't like this is if I'm Drew Lock, I essentially have 1 year left to prove that I'm worthy of being somewhere in the NFL. If we go out and you go get me Dan Quinn as my head coach and run of the mill OC, old school guy,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
that's
demand a trade if I'm Drew Lock at that point.
exactly. There has to be so many moving pieces in here. If Drew Lock, if you're George Payton and you honestly believe Drew Lock has a future here, then you can't play these games. You got to go get the guy and invest in him. But if we've heard Dan Quinn's the top guy, and Dan Quinn, we look at his 3 previous offensive coordinators, Kyle Shanahan, great, but let's be honest, Kyle Shanahan's runs a very outdated system, and their offense is hit or miss in San Francisco lately.
Yeah,
they only have like 15 different running backs they have to count on all the time because they beat them to death. Okay, the next one, Steve Sarkisian, it was kind of but and then the final one, Dirk Coetter, where you take an All-Pro like Matt Ryan and you throw out dog poo in production.
yeah.
So he goes out.
What if Brian Dabble comes in and he says, "Drew Lock,
There
you're
you
my
go.
guy."
Then you have to. Then that's when you invest. That's when you fully do it. So
Yeah.
if this is where it comes down to. This is what
I just
I want.
want to take this one step further, just really quick, and then we'll go back to you. I
Go
don't
for
even
it.
like the idea of taking the quarterback in the second round.
I hate that idea.
Just because this is not a very good draft for quarterbacks to begin with. If you're not getting a guy probably in the top half of the first round, he's probably not really worth. It's a wasted pick, in my opinion. It's really a wasted pick. If not, you're playing that game of, hey, we got this guy that maybe has some skill and maybe has some possibility, and with the right grooming and some luck and some talent. No, we don't need that.
No.
So
I agree.
just go a different route. Don't go to a quarterback in the second round if you
If
invest in Drew Lock.
if you invest in Drew Lock, take the rookie quarterback off the board right now, because what you're doing is you're setting up Drew Lock for failure. He's going to feel that he has to constantly perform to this rookie who's, let's be real, is not get ready to be out there. Is going to be nipping at his heels. You're going to have Broncos country saying, we want to see Carson Strong, because let's say Drew Lock goes out when we're 2-4 in the first 6 games next week. The heat's going to be on. It's just going to be a horrible thing. If I'm Drew Lock, I don't want to be a part of that. If I'm Drew Lock, I'm looking at it as if they can't invest in a guy that's going to help me and I get a commitment from this team, I don't want to be here. I have 1 year left to prove that I am worthy of a second contract. If I come out and I lay an egg next year, my career is likely over.
Yeah,
It's over.
yeah. Good luck. Especially, I mean, let's face it. I think the kid wants to be a starter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He really has 1 year to prove that he's a starter. If he can latch on to any team that will give him a starting job that isn't the Broncos, he's got to take that opportunity. And he's got to run with it as hard as he possibly can.
Yeah, and I was telling Dave this a couple days ago. Why would he leave a starting gig here already? Well, because as a starting gig, and if, like we just said, they bring in an offensive coordinator that's stuck in his mindset and not willing to work around him, and George Payton, look at Minnesota's kind of formula. That's where he's coming from. It is that older mentality kind of coach. It is kind of that older system, run heavy, good defense. But they get a veteran quarterback who's a very efficient in Kirk Cousins, and that's kind of what they've always done. You look at who they've targeted. They went after Kirk Cousins. They went after Sam Bradford. They went after Teddy Bridgewater. Those are all guys who, Teddy had an All-Pro season his first or second year in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't stellar, but I mean, he looks for those efficient guys. So if they go down that same mentality, and George Payton's, that's his, way he wants to build his franchise, then I don't know if I'm Drew Lock, I even want to waste my time.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I would say with George Payton is I wouldn't take everything from Minnesota and put it on George Payton. Obviously, he was not the GM there.
No, I'm just saying if he follows in the footsteps,
if he follows that mentality and that, yeah, exactly right. Obviously, he's taken a lot of. He's a good GM. You roll the dice when you're out there and you're going on a GM, and I know Broncos country sometimes is always in wonderment of if it is it good or is it bad. But I think George Payton is a fantastic pickup for us. I'm really excited to see what he ends up doing again with now a real second off season, second being prepared for the draft. I mean, everything happened so quick for him last year. I feel like this year it'll be that much more prepared, and really excited to see what comes out of it all.
Yeah, and like, just throwing on my GM hat here, let's say that Mike Zimmer's like go in Minnesota. That means they want to move on from Kirk Cousins. You're George Payton. You got the tie there.
Mm-hmm.
You know that this guy, let's say Minnesota, granted, they got Kellen Mond. Kellen Mond's a third-round pick who needs a ton of development.
Yeah.
Could he be the future guy? You don't really know. Minnesota's not going to be picking towards
Don't
the
ask
top
Mike
half.
Zimmer about that.
Yeah, Minnesota's not picking in the, likely not going to be picking in the top half to get one of these Matt Corrals, Kenny Pickett's, Desmond Ritters. We'll kind of hit this draft class a little bit more in the end because you brought up a good point of taking a quarterback in the second round. But back to it, they may be looking for that. What if they go hire, Brian Callahan as their next head coach or Kevin O'Connell's, one of these young offensive guys, and you're George Payton and you want to go the Dan Quinn route. You want to go the, maybe even a Doug Peterson. And, Doug Peterson would be a good candidate to work with Drew Lock too. But let's say that's exactly, what you want to do. You may have a perfect scenario where Drew Lock's going to get a fresh start and you're getting your guy that's going to be the quarterback away, which everyone seems to think we are.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. The more I think about it, I just think it makes sense for Drew to be somewhere else next season for us and for them.
Like I said, I just think if the right system, the right coach comes in, like I said, if it's an offensive-minded coach, you get a great offensive coordinator, they come in, they're like, we want you. We think you've been underdeveloped, underutilized. You're our guy. We're putting everything behind you. We're not taking a quarterback in the draft. Rippon's going to be your backup next year, and we'll figure out something in the 7th round or off the street, but no real competition. You're our guy. Well, then he sticks. There's no reason not to stick around in the system and be the starting quarterback. But that scenario, I don't know, is it very likely to play out? You know what I mean? Like you said, the scenario of a defensive-minded guy coming in, outside of Brian Daboll, I don't know of any really great offensive-minded coaches that I want to just come in here and say is a great match for Drew Lock and can take him to the next level. Go someplace where it's wanting him and saying, hey, I want to be that. We want you as our QB1. He has to take that opportunity. I 100% agree.
Yeah. And the other part of this is, we talked about it a little bit earlier with George Payton, possibly just wanting to get rid of the Elway era. And unfortunately, Lock's a big part of that Elway era. So, the other thing is you look at it, maybe you do go get it. You're able to secure Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll may come in here and look at it and feel that. I don't feel this way, but he may go out and say, hey, Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral, and whoever I feel is at the exact same development level because the multiple buffoons you had in here before didn't do anything with him.
Yeah.
I don't, that's just unfortunately where it could be at. And,
and that's a good point because a lot of times when you get that offensive-minded coach and or OC at the same time, they're picking their quarterback. And
exactly.
I hate to say it, but a lot of times that's not going to be the quarterback that was on the Denver Bronco roster or the roster that they're going to. A lot of times too, they're trying to pick up that backup quarterback from wherever they're coming from and bringing them along, or someone that they knew, that they're familiar with, or close to, if they're not drafting, like you said.
Yeah, and Locke is trending in the right direction in a sense. He's shown a lot of his tendencies have cleaned up.
Mm-hmm.
It could just be that when we come to that crossroads where the trade value possibly outweighs what you feel he's worth on your current roster.
Yeah, you just have to have a clear path, obviously, of what you want to be doing going forward. And unfortunately, our clearest path is through free agency because it's one of the quickest, right?
Yeah, and when we've seen what happens when you build through free agency.
Yeah, it doesn't always work out.
Yeah, you get a super team that gets you to the Super Bowl, and then you get smoked by a top defense. What was it, 48-8 or whatever?
Yeah.
That's what happens when you build the free agency. But anyways, going back real quick, talking a little bit about this draft class. Desmond Ritter on Bleacher Report has skyrocketed out of nowhere to their number one. We're seeing Desmond Ritter come up, and I have no belief that Desmond Ritter is the number one quarterback in this class. But what this is telling me is that typically you see a clear-cut number one kind of start to come out of the woodworks about right now. We at the beginning of the season, it was Spencer Rattler, Sam Howell. Then they came down. Sam Howell started falling. Then Matt Corral started sliding up. Then he started sliding down. Then Kenny Pickett came up. Carson Strong came up. what this is telling me is no one could tell the major difference between quarterback 1 and quarterback 6. And then we have guys like Crum and Elby out of Western Michigan, and where's the I can't remember where the Kent State is where Crum is from.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're in contention for being like one of the top 5. Like this quarterback class is so Mod Podge that there's not a clear cut one. And the only way it makes sense, in my opinion, to even think about taking a quarterback in this draft class, if you're the Denver Broncos, is if you get a Matt Ryan, you get that might be it, to be honest. Because I mean, Aaron Rodgers, you're not going to really have the capital. Maybe you hanged on to your second. Kirk Cousins, I think if you're going after a Kirk Cousins or a Russell Wilson, you're working to make sure they get an extension in place right away, that you're balancing out your books right away. They got the youth. So unless you're confident that one of these guys, Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral, is leaps and bounds better than Drew Lock and what it would cost to go get one of these veterans, and you feel comfortable enough to trade up and get him and start him day one, which I think is foolish.
I agree.
Or you get one of these aging vets that are kind of out there. You can bring him back, Teddy Bridgewater, for 2 years, because these guys need to sit. I don't know. This is George Payton has one of the toughest things in front of him, and it happens to be in one of the most critical stages of his career because he's got a new boss possibly walking in the door any day.
Yeah, think about that. You're George Payton. There's enough rumors floating around about Vic Fangio being gone that there's certainly a possibility of your head coaching opening. You don't know exactly who your owner is going to be. Hopefully that clears up in the next 2 to 3 months. You don't know who your starting quarterback really is for your franchise. And once again, whether it be through free agency, which you got to get on right away, just like your head coaching position that you need to try to fill, if that's the route that you go. If you go free agency quarterback, you better be out there. You better be out there talking this about as soon as possible. So, if not, then you got to figure out who your starting quarterback is and navigate the draft and try to get someone, to step in or replace Drew Lock, or maybe Drew Lock's on the roster. It's not an envious position for Mr. George Payton to be in right now necessarily.
Yeah, and just circle back to the game and what we've seen from Drew Lock. I'm not taking anything away from the kid. I'm not taking anything away from him. He's played a heck of a lot better than what he's had. He's shown that he's made some good, improvements with footwork at times. He's starting to do better at going through his progressions. Of course, there's still some mistakes and stuff in there, but compared to where it was last year, like we highlighted, the 0 in the interception column, that's already saying that it's doing a lot better than where it was. George Payton's just got to, like we said, George Payton's just got to decide, is one touchdown and no picks and a couple, an efficient this efficient version of Drew Lock enough to get us over the Kansas City Chiefs, enough to get us over the Raiders, and enough to get us over the Chargers consistently.
Yeah, I just think that we have an opportunity if bringing in the right system. Again, we've all been a wonderful supporter of our current offensive coordinator.
I'll keep it professional.
Okay. So maybe we're not all on board with Pat Shurmur. And, if we get somebody in here who's confident, we've always talked about it, play to the guy's strengths.
Yeah.
More time, the amount of times that this guy is set up in a position to fail, just in what we're putting out on the field, with the play called on the field. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's no different than I don't know. Always taking a guy that's always under center and putting him in a shotgun, or vice versa. You never want to do it. Especially as the younger they are. But anyway, I digress. I think Drew Lock could do quite a bit better. As a Denver Bronco with the right offensive coordinator.
So like we said, George Payton's got a lot of thinking to do. He's got not a lot of time to do it, and essentially, this is kind of audition year all over again. This is Elway and LS being phased out, and the George Payton era officially underway. Victor here wants David Slade as a head coach. I'm not sure if that would be a great idea, but hey, we'll see. If anything's better than Vic Fangio, I guess.
I know that you don't think that would be a necessarily good idea. You guys don't necessarily see eye to eye on everything, so I don't know if you your vote for David Slade would even count. I also want to say Adam chimed in and said, "Oh no, we suck again."
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
I
you
don't know
know,
if did we ever stop is the problem. I don't know.
I've been hammering this all almost season. I just wanted to get to 8 wins. We have actually
Hey,
even got an eight. We actually had an extra game this year in order to get to 8 wins, and we still didn't get to 8 wins. So, in a small way, unfortunately, I don't. Yeah, we do suck again. But we're always excited for the future. At least I am. I was the guy who was picking the Broncos every single week except
you
this week,
were.
and this is the week they almost pulled it off.
They almost did the upset was almost there. They
It was
almost they
right
almost
for the taking, right for
yeah.
the taking, and we should have had it. It was
It's just the way the Broncos decide to end games. Uh, and Greg comes in with another comeback. He wouldn't mind seeing Locke back if it means Peyton's willing to be patient. I know Broncos country wants immediate success, but I'd rather see extended dominance. Rodgers may bring in a Manning-style era, but that leaves in the exact same situation 3 to 5 years later. I completely agree with you. The only thing I'll have to kind of counteract that is that part of the statement is be patient. Unfortunately, the kid would be going into year 4 of 4. That's more than most quarterbacks taken in the second round ever really get. I mean, his timeline in terms of what an NFL contract entails. Let's highlight even like Baker
yeah,
Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's time in Cleveland's likely coming to an end, even if he plays next season for Cleveland. Typically, even with first-round quarterbacks, it's a 3-year window. So Drew Lock's kind of gotten past year 3, he'd be going into year 4. So
yeah. I just look at it as different because look at what Baker Mayfield has been given. He's been
I'm
given
not
the
disagreeing.
opportunity to be a starter every single year,
Hey,
almost
I'm with you. I
unquestioned.
agree with that. I
You
agree with
know,
that. It's a
so
little bit different just on where they're taken, though.
yeah, I just feel like Drew Lock. He's been given like really one season, one
Yeah, I don't
season.
disagree.
You know,
Uh,
and underneath Pat Shermer. So once again, here we
It
are.
comes back to it. Yeah. It's really just a poor situation all the way around. Nobody's really it came out a winner of this situation this far. It's just been
Yeah,
it's just been poor all the way around for everyone involved. It's been poor for the fans. It's been poor for Locke. It's been poor for who it's really been poor for is the Broncos defense, because for several consecutive years under 2 different head coaches, they've continuously put out a really good product, but they
yeah,
just we highlighted it this way. Offense did enough to stay in the game. Defense made sure they kept him in the game. Offense gave it away. Defense finally breaks. It's kind of a prototypical Broncos loss of 5, 6 consecutive seasons now. So
yeah. Yeah,
it's
very
just
true. I remember there was a time when I was mad that all the Broncos fans were upset that Wade Phillips was leaving the Broncos. He was going to the Rams, and that was going to be the end of our dominant defense. And once again, we just go out there and we continue to put a great defense on the field, but to no avail when it comes to wins. Right? We're still in the same position where we can't put up points. Congratulations for putting up over 17 points. It's something we haven't done a whole lot of today. Today we put up 24, but once
yeah,
again,
it's the first time in like 5 weeks, I think.
yeah. But yeah, I know that we were kind of chatting through Messenger throughout the game. I was really disappointed that we didn't go for 7 rather than going for 3.
Yeah,
It's week 17. It's the last game of the season. There's no reason that you just don't put it all out there, win, lose, or draw. Go for the touchdown or go for I think it was 4 yards that we needed, if I remember right. Don't quote me on that, but someone can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong. But at the same time, I didn't think it was the position to put 3 points on the board, put it back on your defense to try to do it, and then once again, I wasn't necessarily excited about the way the timeouts went down the stretch in
yeah, it
order
was
to try to.
awkward.
It was really awkward. It seemed like there was no real good plan on that either. So
Yeah,
time ran out, and here we are with another
yeah.
loss and another 7-win possible season. So
And then going back to the game as a whole, like we were really shocked. Highlighting the decision not to go for it there, and the game plan itself, like we said, it was kind of cookie cutter Pat Shermer, what we've seen all season. Be dependent on the run, have a quarterback that's going to kind of check it down, throw it a little here, occasionally hit a deep, a 15-yard or so pass down the field. But not really amounting to get that passing game being a major part of the game. if I'm George Payton and I'm looking at this coaching staff, I already know with good faith that it's likely that Pat Shermer's gone. Then, Tom McMahon's gone. I mean, special teams didn't have a terrible game today. We'll give them that.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of disappointed because especially if I'm trying to evaluate this kid in Drew Lock, you came out and you didn't even really turn the kid loose.
Yeah.
And then when you get a chance to kind of go in and try to take the game back after you gave it away on offense,
Yeah.
and then we just play it safe. Like
What were you doing that for? I mean, again, it's not like you're like, well, hopefully, and then if everything turns out, then we'll get that, we'll get the ball back, we'll get it, get score, and then we'll go to the playoffs.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
we have no possibility of going to the playoffs. Just go for the touchdown there.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. That's kind of the approach you take when your offense has been able to kind of, it's gelling okay, and your defense, you have 100% faith can stop the team, and you're just trying to play it to keep the game within range. You do this if it's the middle of the season, not when it's a freaking garbage time game and you're out of the playoffs. You might not have a job when you wake up tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I mean, I just didn't get it.
Yeah.
Real quick,
Gregory jumped in and he at least corrected me. It was not 4 yards. It was 4th and 9. It looks like we need to go. So thanks, Gregory, for setting me straight on that. Still, it wasn't like it was 4th and 14. 4th and 9 is attainable. At least I hope so.
And you're right there. I mean, I get it. If you were playing for something, the way that Fangio did it would have been the right way. But like we said, you weren't playing for anything. You were playing to end the streak.
Yes.
13 consecutive losses now.
You were playing to have that stadium just go erupt, just go absolutely insane on the last game of the season. That's what you're playing for.
You were leaving your lasting effort here in Denver, possibly, that you came in, you threw caution to the wind, and you secured the one thing we hadn't done since 2015. The one thing that even if you're not here, you at least left with a good impression. Now, if you get fired tomorrow, we look at you like the clown that couldn't even be aggressive enough to go for it in garbage time. I mean, that's just kind of what it is.
Yeah.
Real quick, couple comments though. Ray Atkinson coming in from YouTube. Fire Vic, fire Shermer, fire McMahon, keep Lock, 3 cent Gordon. I am okay with the first. I could see ways for the first 3. Melvin Gordon, unfortunately, I think his time is done here. Another one, there was a couple other things here.
Resign Gordon after his fumble. That's a surprising comment after this game, but good game. Melvin. Otherwise, he put up like 110 yards. So
yeah, I'm not mad about the. I mean, I'm not even mad about the fumble. It happens. I mean, it was a great defensive play. It was a great defensive play. I mean,
I agree.
It was 2 plays in a row.
It was also Albert O not hitting his block.
2 plays in a row where Melvin Ingram completely destroyed, got into the backfield. First time Gordon was able to make a miss. Second time we seen what happened.
Yeah, Albert O just did not give him any chance on that. That was a completely blown play. He doubled down and just let Melvin Ingram fly.
Yeah, another quick thing here. Victor comes in. Do you think Judy was honestly making an effort, a step behind a few passes? Part of it could just be, he's probably, there's a possibility. I'll agree. He's probably checked out, but coming back off the COVID list, him and Locke not really having a chance to really work on the timing and chemistry. A lot of people overlooked that. I think that could be a part of it, but I mean, him taking plays off because it's the last game and he's not willing to go out there and re-injure himself for,
I think I saw first half, second half Judy. I think in the first half, he didn't want to be out there at all. I think in the second half, he looked a lot better, and even there was a shot of him on the sidelines where he was talking with coaches, teammates. It seemed like he was a lot more involved and excited about being in the game. So,
yeah.
Timmy P. Victor says Timmy P needs to be shouted out for sure. Couple key first down catches. Oh yeah. Timmy P being Timmy P on a Saturday rather than a Sunday. He did look good out there. And he always comes out there with all the excitement. I wish that one deflected pass that that Locke threw to him in the back of the end zone. It was a tight window. If it wouldn't have went off his fingertips, off the defender's fingertips, it would have been a clearly right into Patrick. Patrick even looked up, like he was a little upset for still not coming down with that ball once at the back of the end zone. So it did look like a little bit of a forced play that we were used to seeing from Locke, but still had an opportunity from Tim Patrick, and it was a great game. Great game from Timmy P. Good shout out, Victor. Better than a Teddy Two Gloves shout out. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll take it. Tim Patrick is probably one of the most underrated and undervalued players on this Denver Broncos team. He always shows up when he needs to.
Yeah. Cortland Sutton was 100% on passes though today, so you got to keep that in mind.
Cortland Sutton might have a future as the next Denver Bronco quarterback.
Boy, man!
Here we go. Let's go.
Hey, the funny thing is, and they broke it down. His initial read wasn't there. He's sitting there back there, and he's going through reads back there, man.
Yeah, and did you see the form? He stopped, planted, and followed through. Like it was the best mechanics we may have seen from a quarterback in all season. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, but it did look pretty dang good. High on the pass, but that's all right.
Hey, and you've seen him break it down. You've seen him look at that read. You've seen him go to the left and find his secondary target. It was a great play. That was probably one of the most exciting things we've seen today, unfortunately. Except for that Melvin Gordon run was beautiful though too.
Yeah, but as far as and we kind of drew it up that Pat Shurmur came out here with his regular vanilla offense outside of that play, but you know what? That's just it. A few of those can go a long way for a fan base. I hate to say it. It's exhilarating to see something with a little bit of excitement, a little bit of flair, and I know that the Philly special barely didn't get pulled off last week. It was so close. If that would have got pulled off and Drew Lock goes in for that touchdown, we would have been feeling completely different about that game as well. But I digress. Yeah. It's just one of those things where like I said, it was exciting. It was good to see. It was nice to be excited for a little bit, something other than oh good, we got a great 20-yard run and we continued pushing down the field or something to that effect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to give Sutton another little shout out because this isn't the first time we've seen him be utilized this way in a pass like this. We actually seen him. I don't remember if you remember. I can't remember if it was last season or the season. It wasn't last season because he was injured. Season before last, where we seen him roll out and hit Tim Patrick on a fly route against Minnesota. It wasn't as pretty of a ball as today. Yeah. But it was So.
Yeah.
Sutton 2022. Let's go. Quarterback.
There you go.
I'm just kidding.
There you go. We got our QB3 at least, There you go. We got Locke, we have Rippon, we have Sutton as our QB3.
There you go. A couple other comments here. Flyboy 1960 coming in from YouTube. WTF, not a Broncos fan, but I hate Mahomes. And what the F did they do? The fumble. Unfortunately, Flyboy 1960, this is exactly how the Denver Broncos decide to lose games. I highlighted a couple just in the last 6 weeks. Cincinnati gave the offense, kind of gave the game away. A couple weeks for that. Teddy Bridgewater gave the game away. Today, Gordon decided to give the game away, and it's just what happens. It's time for the new era. It's time for the new beginning. I never hope ill or wish ill on anyone, but I am hoping tomorrow or at least by Monday morning, I wake up to the news that we are ready to move on. Yeah. Real quick, we will get one more comment in because it had to make its way through. Victor coming in with his last Teddy Bridgewater comment of possibly ever in a Denver Broncos uniform.
Yeah, at least for this season.
Unless he comes back. I mean, hey, unless he comes back.
Yeah, like I said, this season for the 2021 season. We're all wrapped up now. What does he come in with?
He comes in with Teddy B left his gloves in the locker room, so no honorable mention for the gloves. LOL. Well, with that being said, Keith, do you have any parting shots on this Broncos season?
No, I think it's exactly what you said. I'm just looking forward to a future. This Broncos season has been much like the last 6 or so, and that it just has come up with frustrations. But I think we have good plans in place with George Payton. I like what he's done so far, and it'll be exciting to see what happens, especially if we move on from coach and what goes on from there. So absolutely. I guess stay tuned to us because we'll be stay tuned to everything that's been going on.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And feel free to comment on this after with who you hope your next kind of coaching staff is going to be. Shoot the comments because we'll still see them. We'll get alerted and we'll get jump in the conversation on the feed for this. We're always available to do that, or go post a post on our page on Rocky Mountain Sports Network on our Facebook page or on the Facebook group. Go to Twitter, find us, either one of us, DeFero NFL, Keith Brugman over on Twitter. My parting shot is, just. It's been tough being a Broncos fan the last couple of years. It's been tough times for us. It's the worst losing streak possibly I've ever seen. I mean, I mean, I know it's been worse, but this is from coming down from the high that we've been on, kind of seeing what's happened. Unfortunately, with the shift of the Pat Bowlen era into the Trust era, into the Elway era, we kind of lost of our identity. And whether what happens with Vic Fangio and whomever they bring in, I just hope George Payton and whoever the next owner is able to reestablish walking what it means to walk at excellence and
Yes.
to get back to being a relevant franchise in the NFL. But with that being said, that's gonna wrap it up for us tonight.
Yep.
We're gonna be back on Wednesday at 6 p.m. We're gonna break down all the coaching news that's happening. We're gonna shift up in all of our focus to what's going on in the NFL. There's gonna be a little playoff talk. There's gonna be some coaching vacancies and interviews and all that great stuff. We're gonna be able to break down whatever happens with Vic Fangio.
Yep.
But that'll be Wednesday, 6 p.m. Check us out here on Facebook. You can check us out on YouTube. You can check us out on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, any of your podcast platforms, Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts. We are all out there. With this being our final post-game show for the season, good luck, Broncos country, and here's to a better future.
Yeah.
The last thing I have is, we got to just thank our sponsor too, Willow Seasonings and Blends for sponsoring us all season long.
Yep.
They helped us promote live events. They helped us make connections outside of just Denver Bronco football. So be sure to go and check them out, guys. They got, like I said, they got a ton of great seasonings for more than just barbecue. They got fajita lime stuff. They got sweet heat, sweet smoke, salt, pepper, garlic. So anything you guys need, head over to willowseasonings.com. There's a newsletter now that's going to include recipes and different things like that. So sign up for it. Get involved in it. I didn't play the video today, but there's some great food. And, if you guys are ever on here, watch it visually. But,
I just want to give a big thank you to everybody that did stick with us all season, chimed in all season, commented all season. And even though the regular season is done, we're not going into the playoffs. Plenty still to comment on as we come back every week at Wednesday. So stay tuned, jump in. We love your guys' comments. Thank you for being with us all year. Wish it could have ended a little bit with our hands in the air and some celebration and heading into the playoffs, but we digress, and we'll move into the postseason or the off season, and love to hear your comments there too.
Yeah, and the very last thing I'm going to leave you with is we close down the season. We're looking to really take advantage of this football platform, this sports platform we've created. We're looking to grow and get more shows out there. With that being said, if we want more shows, we need more people who want to come on and talk sports, talk football, talk NFL, talk XFL, talk NCAA, whatever you guys want to talk about. So if you're interested in being a podcast host, a live stream host on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, please feel free to reach out to me directly or reach out to me via email at rmsportsnetwork@gmail.com. But with that said, it's always go Broncos, and here's to a better year. And here's the final good night. See you later.
Take care.